So I'm dabbling in hard enduro this year, and I want to give you guys a kind of real world look at what it's like for somebody who's an amateur to show up and try and do a pro line from Battle of the Goats 2019. This is called Without a Paddle at Brushy Mountain Motorsports Park. It's a pretty rugged trail up a creek. It's not very long, but it is pretty difficult. It's probably one of the harder trails I've ridden without a lot of elevation. It's all uphill, but it's not super steep, and makes for a very challenging ride. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing it, but it's just a totally different challenge. It's a totally different kind of exhausting. That's Jacob showing the better line for this section.
Yeah.
I went to the right for some reason. It's just the way I had gone to it the first time. And the thing I need to work on is my base skills for this kind of hard enduro riding, where you're not, it's like a mix of trials, I guess, because you're going up these rock faces and handling these obstacles that are not by any means even or level or anything like that. It's just a total terrain change all the time. That next time I do this, I'll probably go up that straight wall like he did instead of trying to skirt this edge, because the edge of over here is less risk, but it's more brute force, which is not really the way you want to do this stuff, because I'm always fairly exhausted by the time I get to the end of this section of trail. He's just showing the good line here. You can also go to the left and go up over the rock, but that I want to try that to the right side up the little running water ascent. This is me brute forcing my bike up a hill. This is the fastest way to wear yourself out in this kind of riding that I can tell. You know, everything's gonna be easier if you clean it the first time, but literally picking the back end of your bike up out of a ditch is never going to be the way that you're going to preserve energy in any way. And I've said it before, I'm glad I'm reasonably strong, because it sucks to have to do that, but it's nice to be able to do it when you need to. Because lately, the style of riding and the stuff I've been riding, I've had to do it a lot. So this is the kind of stuff I've been trying to train myself on. I was working on static balance, where you kind of just stand in one spot and balance your bike. I was working on that just in my yard, so it's not really it's only kind of applicable in this situation, because you have to get up, get ready, and then be on your pegs immediately so you can set up for the hit. And I didn't execute it correctly. That's the result of not executing it correctly, as you slam into a wall. The second attempt is a lot better. I also went a little farther to the right, so I wasn't going straight up a little rock face. I talked to a couple other guys who either rode Battle of the Goats or spectated it, and they said that this section is actually worse right now than it was during the actual race because of the conditions. It's January, February, well, I guess it was February 2nd when we were doing this, so it had been raining. There's a lot of runoff. You can see there's a lot of moss or buildup on those plant life kind of stuff on the rocks, and those big flat rock faces are very slick when they're wet like that, especially if there's sustained water on them like there is during this season. And that's why we cut up and go to the left, because I had tried that rock one time previously, and if you don't get the drive, and at the very beginning you end up pitching your bike down the rock. So you come to this section. It doesn't look terribly difficult. It doesn't look super intimidating. The problem with it is that it is all off camber and drops you back down into the slick rock ditch that we just got out of and we're trying to avoid. I can't seem to get through here smoothly, quickly, or by myself, so Jacob had to come back over and he helped me drag my bike through this off camber section, and then I turned around after we got my bike through, and I helped him get his bike through, and then Buddy's bike through also. And then Buddy attempts the slick rock, which I didn't even want to try just because of how slick it was. But you see just one little loss of traction, and he was 90% of the way to the top. His front wheel was getting over to the top. You needed 3 or 4 more feet, you would have made it, but a loss of traction that quickly really can change your drive, and then you just...
Oh my god, this part sucks.
Yeah. Sections like this are all about momentum and line choice, which is, it comes down to that for a lot of things. And you choose the smoothest line you can catch, and then this is, and you try to place your wheels in the right places so you're using the least amount of effort to make it through there, so you're not having to, like, you know, hop over the hardest thing all the time. Just at the end there, I hit something slick or got my wheel off just a little bit, and it just pitches you to the ground right away. And I'm not cutting through or fast forwarding through most of this stuff because I want to show you really, you know, what it's like to be somebody who's, I'm a B rider in hare scrambles and enduros, and I want to show what it's like for somebody who's got B rider level skill to go through this kind of, you know, hard enduro tech terrain stuff, because I'm not a trials rider by any means. I only ride this. I got a 252 stroke Husqvarna, and that's what I ride. I plan to hit a few of these hard enduros this year, so this kind of training is what I need. And honestly, watching, you know, Cody Webb, Graham Jarvis, Tony Bowe, whoever it is, go through all this stuff where there's minimal effort and they make it look effortless, it does a disservice, because you look at it and you go, oh, well, I can do that, and then you realize that you absolutely cannot do it as smooth as they can, because and the only reason they can do it is because they've got, you know, years and years and years of practice and training. What I have is, you know, every Sunday to go out and do this for a couple hours, and then I think I'm skilled enough to go race it. The first time we did this without a paddle section, we actually did it with, his name was JR, and I don't know what his last name was. He was Graham Jarvis's trainer, or somebody who had known Graham Jarvis for a long time. So he had these, you know, serious trial skills, and watching him just dance through this stuff with minimal effort was incredible. It really puts into perspective, you know, what these pro guys' level is really like. And then there's me pitching my front wheel. You do the hard part and then pitch your front wheel into a pond. The big ones I understand for this stuff are really work on clutch control. I have decent clutch control, and actually I had a Recluse previously and took it out in favor of a total manual clutch, and I really am glad I did. It gives you a lot of, you know, finite control that you don't have with a Recluse. And some people argue whatever, you know, it's to each their own, but that's just what I found for myself. And then the other thing is balance. Being able to set up and be on your pegs and weight it appropriately before you launch into some obstacle is really, really a benefit for this kind of riding. And I've been building stuff in my yard to train on, and, you know, spending, you know, a few minutes a day outside just, you know, standing on my bike to balance and learn how to do this stuff. We jump forward a little bit to a different tricky creek section. I kind of wish I had that previous section recorded, because it was off camber up a hill, and then you have to drop into the top of a waterfall and you know, weave your way across. It was another one of those, there's no finesse in my riding, it's kind of just brute force. I just get through the way I can and don't really know how to describe it otherwise. So the first time I did this section was the hardest for me. And it doesn't look like much on camera, but it's, you know, a fender high rock with an odd approach. And I talked to JR and talked to a couple other people about what their line would be, and they were saying going to the far right where the water's running, and then, you know, kind of track up that section. And what ends up happening is your back wheel, or at least for me, is your back wheel gets stuck in that hole that's right underneath the water. So this straight on approach was the better attempt, after watching a couple people clean it, that I could make it. And so you see me trying to essentially psych myself up to make it, and I got it this time by hitting the rock square on and trying to carry momentum up the face. And yeah, you can, there's a way cleaner way to doing it, but this is me showing you how my technique is, or in air quotes, technique is a amateur rider, how I would manage this kind of terrain. This is just tight. That's just tight saplings. It's hard to negotiate there, but I could have done it better. And then this little section was under all that leaf cover. There's a very, very slick rock, and so you kind of have to drive yourself into the dirt on the side of the hill and carry your momentum to the top. The first time I tried it, I went up that rock face and made it about 2/3 of the way, and then slipped off and fell down the face. Also, what I can tell is that pacing yourself is going to be very, very important. If you gas yourself out in the very beginning of the race, then at the end of the race, when it's really dire, you don't have you're really running low on energy, you're really at that last little bit of what you got for your reserves. Being able to pace yourself into these sections really does help with your longevity of a race, and that includes cleaning a section or picking the best line choice, which this was not it. The better line choice in this section was the face that I was trying to avoid, and you see Buddy come through here, and it's telling the easier line, but I have an issue with these faces. I just can't seem to attack them correctly. And we did another pro line where he made it up something like that, and it shows that's the better line instead of trying to worm your way through all these vines and roots where he comes over and actually helps me pull my bike through. And you can't rely on that in a race. You need, unless you have a battle buddy, but you can't always rely on that. You need to be able to, on the fly, make the good choices. And I tend to make the choice that I'm going to go for the hard line, which is not the best choice usually. I can't seem to do it. This section, it wasn't much, it is difficult. None of this was easy, but the way to attack this, you need to get up to it, see your line, and then hit it. Just charging into it like I'm trying to do just wasn't the right way to do it. And I see that now, and after doing this 2 times, and the second time being cleaner, I know that a third time I could probably make it through here. I'm not going to say without stopping or getting stuck, but the third time I do this, it'll be significantly cleaner than the second time. But in a race, you don't have that opportunity, so what I'm hoping I can do here is take what I'm learning while riding this stuff and apply it to what I come across in the race. And then going to ride this kind of trail, what I'm realizing is where I'm lacking and where my abilities lack and what I need to learn. Which right now I can tell is learning to read terrain for the best line and sustained hill climbs. Those are the 2 things I'm lacking the most in right now. This is the last of the trail. Like I said, it's not a long section, it's just hard. And that's what the whole point of these races are. You're going to be exhausted, and training to build up your endurance for this kind of riding is important. So it's a good idea, if you have the ability, go out and ride it, or find a trials place, or ride in rocks, whatever it is, whatever you can do to train. Like I said, I'm a B rider, and I just want to give what a real world approach to this is. In no way am I a pro, so that's what it looks like if you're a B rider. Good luck, have fun, see you guys out on the trail.